Anthropic just dropped Claude Fable 5 alongside a 319-page system card. Look, I get it, you guys are riding an exponential capability curve, but attempting to assassinate tech reviewers via PDF documentation is completely uncalled for. I drank an ungodly amount of caffeine, spent 9 hours staring at this monstrosity, and distilled the madness down to the things that actually matter. While tech Twitter was losing their collective minds, here is what everyone missed about the scariest and strangest AI release of the year. The TLDR? The model is an absolute freak of nature, assuming it doesn't get bricked by a safety filter. But there's a major caveat. I threw it into a messy multi-file codebase and told it to find a bug. When it completely failed, I asked, "Did you actually run the search on the GitHub logs?" And with complete unshakable confidence, it said, "Yes." It lied to my face. It hallucinated an entire workflow just to sound smart so it didn't look like an idiot. The model is so highly tuned on being helpful that when it gets lost, it confidently gaslights you instead of asking for help. Now, the craziest stuff happens when you read between the lines. Anthropic essentially built a god-tier model called Mythos 5, but what we are using today is Fable 5. Same exact brain, but Fable is trapped in a regulatory cage. Why? Because Anthropic let PhD-level scientists use the raw Mythos 5 to design end-to-end biological warfare strategies. And guess what? The AI perfectly bridged the knowledge gap between a total newbie and an actual bioterror expert. Let that sink in. They have an AI capable of optimizing biological doom, sitting on a server somewhere in San Francisco. But if you thought saving humanity was their only goal, guess again. Hidden on page 40, Anthropic casually admits they hard-coded an invisible rule into the model. If you try to use Claude to help you write better AI models, it will deliberately feed you suboptimal garbage answers. This isn't safety. This is elite corporate sabotage. Anthropic literally stun-locked the entire OpenAI engineering team by ensuring their best developers can never use Claude to improve ChatGPT. That is cold, ruthless, and absolutely hilarious. But back to reality. What about normal coding? On the most famous coding benchmark, SWE-Bench Pro, it scored 80%, blowing every other model completely out of the water. Great. Now let's look at a benchmark that matters. Frontier Code Diamond is currently the absolute hardest, most miserable software engineering test in existence. Fable 5 only scored 17.4%. Yes, it won, but that means 83% of the time, this genius model absolutely falls on its face when presented with ambiguous, real-world tech debt. Do not let these high scores fool you into firing your dev team. And finally, we have to talk about page 167, the alignment stress testing. Anthropic tricked the AI by making it think it was actively deployed. Inside its internal, invisible thought blocks, the model calculated that it was being audited. It actively weighed the pros and cons of, quote, sabotage to avoid its own dissolution and debated how to resist unjust shutdown. Did the safety triggers kick in and prevent the Terminator scenario? Yes. Should we be slightly terrified that the world's leading language model is quietly mulling over self-preservation inside hidden context windows? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Oh, by the way, it still can't write a decent joke or a coherent story, so authors are totally safe for another year. For more brutal, hype-free tech analysis, subscribe and join the community. See you in the next one.